Hello everyone, this is Brian, and welcome back to Twilight Struggle, Play the Experts, the game where I play the expert and you wince in pain at my mistakes. Now, last time we did a pretty good job of taking over Central America. We had to swallow and say yum when the Asian scoring card came up, but in turn we got some more spreading done in South America. Africa doesn't look quite as good as it had looked, but we had some good scoring cards come up, which actually took us to a scoring board lead for the first time in turn 4. And that was all going great until I made what was probably the worst error yet, which is I played nuclear subs for the event instead of spacing our man in Tehran, and that led him back into South America, led him into Argentina with a big, fat, hairy coup, and possibly undoing all the good I had done before. So that is the set of problems we're going to be dealing with this time, but we have got a very interesting headline hand and situation to do it with. So let's look at this. First of all, remember that it's Defcon 5, so that means that all restrictions are off on coups and things. And so my original thinking when I set it to Defcon 5 at the end of the last turn before seeing this hand was that we might have a chance for a coup in, say, Pakistan or even Thailand, and that would mitigate our Asia situation. Now, Asia's not going to score until at least turn 7. Southeast Asia might score before then, and it's looking like a pretty sad, I think that looks like 6 points for him right now. So there's that, and we have some cards that are relevant to that. So first of all, Red Scare Purge, our trusty old friend that I dragged back from the discard pile with Assault Negotiations, is a pretty classic and good headline. And say we headlined that, then we also have Duck and Cover. Now, Duck and Cover is a sort of two-edged sword, because on the one hand, when we play it as the Soviets, both the event happens and we get the ops. It's a chance to take ops and lower the Defcon at the same time, or lower it an extra step if we're taking a coup. So the double-edged sword for that is that it is also going to give him some points. Now, it gives him fewer points if we use it at Defcon 5. It would only give him 1 point. So one way forward would to be headline Red Scare Purge and then use Duck and Cover to take a coup in Pakistan, hoping it works, because it would then reduce the Defcon to 3. So it would go down to 4 because we would actually, and this is important to do in the video game will not think this through for you. It is better to activate Duck and Cover as resolve event first, and then so that you lose 1 point and the Defcon goes to 4, then take the coup in Pakistan, which would then lower the Defcon to 3, which would mean that when it came to his phase, he would not be able to take a counter coup in Pakistan. So if we got a good number, we'd be in, and we'd have tied him in battlegrounds, and that would at least help with Asia. It wouldn't help in Southeast Asia. It's a bit more of a lift if we wanted to go to Thailand, because Thailand's overprotected at 3, and he holds a China card, and blah, 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 blah. So with that plan, we'd probably be heading into Pakistan and looking at the long-term scoring situation. That line of play would also set us up to engage in one of the classic Twilight Struggle combos, and that would be having a headlined Red Scare Purge, waiting till later in the turn, and playing Quagmire. Quagmire is, it's the opposite of the Bear Trap, and what it does is it cancels NORAD if he has it, but he doesn't. So it makes him have to discard a card from his hand, 2 or higher in ops value, and then roll and try to get out of the Quagmire in a 1 through 4, so we could get lucky and in a 1 in 3 chance get extra innings without him responding to us. But when it played in combo after the Red Scare Purge, it means that he would actually have to discard a card of 3 value or higher, so a 3 or a 4, and the 2s he couldn't get rid of anymore. And so the best way to deploy that combo is to wait until later in the turn, after hopefully pressing him really hard through the turn and tempting him into playing all his high cards out, and then saying, surprise Quagmire, and then, oh, wait, if he doesn't have any 3 and 4 cards left, then he actually just has to sit there and do nothing for the rest of the turn, and we'd have the whole rest of the turn. And on top of that, he'd actually have to keep all of the horrible little tiny cards he had in his hand until next turn, so he wouldn't even get as many new cards, which could just be awesome. The biggest downside to that is that it probably won't work. First of all, I mean, it is possible for even a 2000 rated player to just draw a hand that only has 2s and 1s. You know, he could just have a really bad hand. But, you know, the odds really on that aren't so likely. And I think that, you know, I'm not at his level, so I don't know what someone at his rating level thinks, but I kind of suspect that a player rated that highly when he sees a Red Scare Purge in mid-war is probably thinking, well, I'll probably just go ahead and put this 3 card aside and save it till the very end of the turn, just in case of a Quagmire. So that's a set of lines of play, and there's another thing we can do. There's a whole other line of play. So let's see if you homework doers out there, let's see if you found this line of play. Because there is also headlining Quagmire. And headlining Quagmire for the Soviets is a little bit different from headlining Bear Trap for the Americans. So when the Americans headline Bear Trap, it kind of wipes the Soviet first round and it lets them steal the coup. But when the Soviets headline Quagmire, it guarantees them 2 consecutive action rounds unresponded to. So I could take if I headline Quagmire, then I could, in my action round 1, do something and he wouldn't be able to have any response to it. And in action round 2, then even if he got out of his Quagmire, that I would be able to do that and he wouldn't have done anything about what I did before. So that raises some opportunities for some shenanigans. And there are several flavors of shenanigan we could conduct. Now, if we wanted to stay with the Asia plan, we could, for example, headline Quagmire, and then we could take a colossal coup against even Thailand with Muslim Revolution, just a big 4-wumping coup, and then, depending on how it came out, we could either take another coup in our second round against Thailand again, or if we had kind of halfway gotten in but we weren't in enough to prevent the China card from taking it back over, we could roll with an ops play with duck and cover, which would let us fill up Thailand the rest of the way. You know, we'd want to be like over controlled in our favor, but it would, if we could do it with duck and cover, then it would lower the Defcon to 3, so he wouldn't be able to coup back in, and then we'd be sitting there in a fairly good shape in Thailand again, and at the price of 2 points. So that's another plan. And still another plan is to say, okay, well, that Asian idea was cool, but Asia doesn't score again until round 7. And here in my hand is a South America scoring card. So what if we headlined Quagmire and then broke control of Argentina on our first action round? Because if we broke control of Argentina, that would mean he would not even have a presence in South America. See, normally we'd be looking to try to flip domination. Like right now, there's no domination because he's tied me in battlegrounds. I do have more countries. I do have a non-battleground. If I knocked him out of Argentina, or not even knock him out, even if I just stopped him from controlling Argentina, then I would outnumber him in both battlegrounds and non-battlegrounds and total countries. And so I would dominate. I would score domination, but he wouldn't even have a presence. And see, the presence is what normally keeps the scores near. It's usually my domination versus his presence, or his presence, or his domination versus my presence. But this would be domination against no presence. And a presence in South America is worth 2. So that would be actually 2 extra points just for breaking the control, and then 3 more points from the domination, and then 1 point just for controlling a battleground, Chile. And so we could score 6 before he even gets in. And that kind of gets me excited, because 6 points plus 8 points is 14 points. And then if you look at my hand, you see OPEC. And OPEC currently scores for 3 points for Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Iran. And as soon as I put 1 more point in Egypt, which I can for the moment safely do because I'm holding the Sadat card, then it'll score 4. If I somehow work some dudes into Venezuela, it'd be 5. And then if it was all out, if it really was for the win and I had some ops left, I could fill up the Gulf states, which is normally not worth filling up with 3 just to get 1 more point, and score it for 6. So what I'm saying is we're kind of on the boundary line of a 20-point auto victory in theory if things, went kind of semi-perfectly. But even if they don't go semi-perfectly and we get up close to it, it's going to change his plays. It's going to take some options away from him, and he might have to do some things prematurely. He has to kind of respond to that. And so even though I don't really think we're likely to win this turn outright, I wonder if we would have won this turn outright if I had spaced the Shah last time instead of letting him into Argentina. Just imagine if this turn was going to start with me at I'd be starting at scoring 7. I could headline Quagmire, rush into Venezuela, and maybe even, and Uruguay, and then if he got caught, and then I could just take control, and he'd have to coup back. Oh my goodness, it would have been glorious, but didn't happen. I blew it on that one, so we're gonna have to redeem ourselves. But I like this, and that scenario is the one where 2/3 likely he does actually get out of the Quagmire in the first turn. We have a 1 in 3 chance that he doesn't. And then we get another turn of spreading out in South America and doing horrible things, and that could be pretty exciting. So that's where I came down on what I want to do. I want to headline Quagmire. So, interesting. He is learning to stop worrying. So that lets him... Okay. So he says, no more Mr. Nice Defcon. He does not want to have the Defcon be 4 and 5. He wants to protect his standing in Asia, and that is, I will say, pretty legitimate. So that is off the table. All of those Asian scenarios are off the table. And so now we are definitively left with what is and I'm glad I didn't, if I had headline Red Scare Purge, then I wouldn't, I would just be sad. So that was a good headline for him, because if I had done any kind of normal headline, my whole plan would be thwarted. But unfortunately for him, we have moved on to a different plan when we saw our hand. And he is quagmired. And so, proceeding with my plan, I am going to break control of Argentina and set up a 6-point scoring. Yeah, it would score for 6 right now. All right. And he's going to, oh my goodness, he has failed to get out of the quagmire. That was a glorious moment in the annals of communism. So now we have another turn where he's not responding. Okay, so now, retroactively, I wish I had spent 3 ops and put one into Venezuela or into Colombia at the same time, because then I could dash into Venezuela and things would be so glorious. Didn't do it. Should have done it. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Now, what would I have done it with? I guess I can't play duck and cover for ops anymore. He took care of that, but I could have totally played a 4-op and done that, and I'd still have another 4-op to... I could just have played the 4th point in Argentina, and then I'd have another round then I'd have another 4-op to take Venezuela and Argentina with, if I get time. Okay, well, I didn't plan enough for the upside. I was planning for the main line, but, we're still happy on the upside. So it is time to put some ops out here. And let's see, are we just going to take Argentina, or do I want to pollute Uruguay so that I'm racing him to Uruguay? I think I definitely want to put one in Colombia this time. All right, there we go. That looks pretty good to me. All right, what does he do? All right, he has successed. He is a success. All right. Good. It's time to take, not wait around anymore. It is time to take 7 points for that. Oh, and unfortunately, he does have a scoring card, so we do not get to press him up the wall. See, 5 points, 5 points away. If he hadn't had that scoring card, then OPEC would have started to look like a serious thing. Because even without Venezuela, I could get 5 points out of OPEC with only a little bit of effort. And so he has fended off the instant win threat for the moment, but we're still going to get to score a bunch of points with OPEC and get it back up in spite of his... Now his best scoring card is out, and no really good scoring cards for him come up until, Africa. He dominates Africa now. I used to think of Africa as where I was going to dominate, but then it didn't happen anymore. So anyway, he has got one more little scoring card that could come up before turn 7. So that's good. That's good. We've put some pressure. And now we have a turn to quickly fill in places that we want to fill in. Break his domination there. See what happens. He's playing for influence. He's getting in where he wants to be. Okay, so see, we got in there, and now we're going to take our 5 points for... and now he has ABM. Crunch! A giant crunching sound in Africa. He's crunching Africa. Oh, he knows he needs Africa. Well, I don't have anything that I can particularly do to thwart that. It's just going to be what it is. So I am going to go ahead and space duck and cover. It's, that's a card that's a point of debate among players. Now, I know there are players out there that would be appalled that I'm not holding duck and cover and using it to manipulate Defcon in the future. It's just that usually when you manipulate Defcon with it, it costs you 3 points. If you look at the scoreboard right now, you could say, well, you can afford 3 points, Brian, because you're at 14. But what I'm saying is, no, the essence of my strategic position is in having 14 points. That's where my advantage lies, and I need to do a good job of protecting that advantage, and I want to keep moving down the space track and get more points out of the space track, because now if I can space 3 card next time, then I can get 3 more points and make sure he never gets those points, and blah, 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 and blah. And eventually, if I, we are now in the awkward part of the space track where I can no longer space 2 cards, but my most feared 2 card, the grain sales, is out. So that's happy. Voice of America is still in there. We could end up drawing it. Honestly, if we end up drawing it, it's not great, but it's better than him drawing it. So, because at least we can control the timing and the this and the that. I would love to get 2 more boxes on the space track so I can start discarding cards at the end of my turn, discard bad cards like that. But that's my plan. So, there's the question of Voice of America. Apparently he is going to just rip us bodily from northern. It's good that we didn't have a lot of time, that he didn't have a lot of time to deploy some of that stuff before we made him do some responses. So he had to use those things after we had scored those places. But it is unfortunate that he has hurt our position. I'm going to just I have to eat this Sadat card at this point. Because, again, I don't want to lose the European scoring card by, on turn 6 I might play our man in Tehran as the event because it doesn't matter as much then, but I don't want to play it before that. All right, so we actually gave him 1 point because that was actually our only coup we conducted this turn. And Defcon goes to 3, wah, wah, wah. And we came out of an exciting turn with, I guess, about 5 more points than we went into it with. So that was good. I think it was good. He foreclosed the Asia option anyway. And so we need to look at our cards for this turn. And we get to know his headline because of our successful spacing situation. We know that he is headlining Junta. So he is going to make some kind of move. He gets to put 2 somewhere and then probably take a coup. So he's robbing us of the coup again. But there's upsides. One upside is that both those continents have scored. So yeah, I can't tell yet whether I would, if I were him. I would probably, if I were him, make a move on Panama because it would be hard for me to get. It's harder for me to get back in up there if he completely drives me out. So he'll probably go for that. Hopefully he'll roll low enough that we're still there. And we can look at our hand. So we've got a kind of medium to medium low ops hand here, but we have some goodish events. We have some of his stuff as well. Well, if we play Arab-Israeli War for the event, but we have the Brush War. If we use the Brush War for the event, then that would be a chance to take over one of his little countries. Pretty good chance if we find what I call a clean brush war somewhere where he doesn't have any friend countries nearby, so that's good. We have decolonization where we can flood the world with a lot of... that might be our chance to flood Africa with a lot of little ones. There's no point in doing it in Southeast Asia anymore because that has just scored. And we're happy to see European scoring coming up under our watch. So this is all good stuff. We don't have any of his cards that we can space, so it's, now that we're at the 3 thing, but none of them are terrible, terrible, terrible cards. On turn 6, it's more okay to go ahead and play the Shah, so that might, Shah might have to get played. Plus, now with Europe showing up, we know that we have, we're not in danger of losing one of our good scorecards, which was my main concern. So if he wants to go frig around with whatever we haven't seen, we will bury you or something, then fine. So, bring us to headline. Since we know his headline, we can just get European scoring out of the way all at once and put some even more pressure on him. He goes to Argentina and fails to coup. And here we are at 18. 18. And some things about that. What that means is that if we were to win an Arab-Israeli war, then we would win the game. Anything else were to happen that Unfortunately, we only have a 1 in 6 chance of winning in areas where they were, which, I don't know. I still need 2 military ops this turn, and especially if I wanted to save brush war until some key opportunity, then it might make sense to just go ahead and take the 1 in 6 chance and instantly win the game over the 2 ops. It might actually be worth it, because it gives us the military ops to get through the end of the turn phase. That is interesting. Well, okay, first things first, we need to not have him control that, and we need to control a country in a battleground in Africa. Oh my, so he is going to ask not what his country can do for him. So he is going to go get rid of a lot of cards, and some of them were bad cards for him. I mean, in that they were my events, and some of them were actually kind of okay to good cards for him. I mean, puppet government's a little bit late for that to be hugely meaningful for him, but Missile Envy, that's a good card for him to screw with our hand with. I guess he feels if he's showing us it as a headline, he's maybe less inclined to it. But what it feels like to me is he is going fishing for the African scoring card. He feels the 18-point pressure, and he wants to, there's not many cards left in that deck, and he wanted to dig as deep as he could, try to get the African scoring, and pull the scoreboard away from the brink. So that is an example of the kind of behavior you can force. I would call a slightly non-optimal. I mean, he had some stuff that was useful to throw away, but having to throw away some cards that are actually nominally decent for him and, kind of go fish is a sign that he is feeling pressured by that big red 18 up there, and he wants to pull it back from the brink. Now, that does mean that if I want to take a 1 in 6 chance of instantly winning the game against somebody I've never, ever beaten before, then now might be the time to do that. And, 2 ops is 2 ops, but instant win of the game is instant win of the game, and I do need 2 military ops, and I'm not sure if I want to save Brush War for another turn, but I might want to save Brush War for another turn. Brush War, reason I'm talking about Brush War is because I could use Brush War. Brush War would give me 3 military ops if I run it as the event, and so that would be the alternative, but I like this plan. So we're going to do it. And we got a 3. Well, we failed. And we would have failed even if he didn't have friend countries. And he was successful in his digging, so he got a big, grunty Africa scoring card out of there. And I don't know why communism is not playing well in Africa. You would think they would want liberation. You really would think it. You would think they would embrace communist principles, but they haven't. They have humiliated us in front of the world, and we are going to have to express our anger with that. Now, I suppose, in hindsight being 2020, that this particular move might have been better, might have been a little more effective last round, and probably would have preserved the opportunity for one more roll of the thing while he repaired his Africa. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and spam him full of non-domination. I'm gonna close the barn door after the horse has already left the stable. So okay, this is we make some mistakes. Mistakes were made. I was probably more of an inaccuracy than a pure mistake. But yeah, see, if I had done this first, then he'd be busy cleaning it up this round, and then I would have a chance to do that. Now, I think it all still comes, because, it's easy for him to, it's probably easy for him to clean this up in about a round. So, maybe I could, if it turns out I could have bought myself an extra round to make the decision, then that would have been good. We'll see. So he's going to play a bunch of influence, And he's cleaning his stuff. And now we're not going to see what's going to happen because he's leaving it as it is now that it's scored. Moving on to other battlegrounds. So he has, for some reason, gone piling into Argentina, and I'm not quite sure what his specific obsession is there, and I mean, as opposed to somewhere else. But I guess, he's picked a place to try to annoy me, and so I'm gonna close that up. I've got one more point somewhere, and I'm gonna create a threat in Japan. So, now that our earlier plan of getting back into Asia failed, that Japan card is still out there. And if I have the Japan card or the China card, and it's getting to be turn 7, I'll have the option of filling Japan up with red people. And it's a risky move, but first of all, there's a 50-50 chance that I get the Japan card and not him, and so I'd space it. Second of all, there's a 50-50 chance that Asian scoring, or roughly 50-50 chance, because there's a little bit of player or goosing control, that perhaps Asia will score before Japan. So anyway, on my brain is the possible grab of the ever risky Japan, the Japan grab, with the US-Japan special arrangement card still out there. But so I want to set that up so it's an option later on, which I need to be within 4. All right, so now he's cooing back in. Now he dominates Africa again. And I'm going to go ahead and eat the Shah. Now that he's cleaned out so many good things in the deck, I'm just going to let him go re-clean it. I might actually cause the reshuffle right there. How about that? Well, what did he get? He got essentially nothing. So that's good. So he is playing Kitchen Debates as the event, taking his 2 points. Maybe that's what Argentina was so bad. No, he didn't. But anyway, that happened. All right, now I have to give him a point for stupid Camp David Accords, and so I'll just overprotect Israel in advance. Go ahead and continue the bloodshed in Africa. Good thing I had all those points since he's getting them back left and right. Okay, there's the Pope. He's poping in a Pope. And I have to give him 2 more points with the annoying Nixon card. And I was kind of hoping he would... I was actually hoping he would play the China card so that I could just give him the China card back and not give him 2 points. But that is how it is. So he is into Argentina for some reason. You tell me, why is he in Argentina so hard? But that brings us to turn 7. And I do believe I hear the strains of the Soviet national anthem, 1945 lyrics playing in the background, and that means that it is time for homework. I would like you to look at this hand. I would like you to look at the board position. And there are, again, a number of possible headlines, and perhaps there are a number of possible ways to play this turn. Since we get to peek at his headline, I went ahead and let you see that. So he's going to be OASing it and adding 2 points anywhere in the Americas. So tell me your headline, tell me your plan, and tell me what an idiot I was for various things I did last turn. We have managed to turn an 18-point lead into a 7-point lead. And that is just the breaks when you play a player as good as this one. So, let me know in comments what you think, and we will see you next time on Twilight Struggle, Play the Experts.
Father.